Last week's video had the kids coming home for the melting pot celebration of Melissa's birthday. They're still home today, so we went to Ecclesia Market to grab some lunch. Today is also Superbowl Sunday, which means more about halftime and commercials than the actual game. Oh, and the snacks. But San Francisco had some Bronco tie-ins, so I guess we were kind of rooting for them, but mostly we were just rooting against the Chiefs. With my 1 second everyday challenge, I keep creating these tiny clips with absolutely zero context that aren't long enough to talk about what they're related to. I guess I need to realize that I'm also trying to run a vlog.
I read 2 different books this week so far, and the first one I finished was A Conspiracy of Kings by Whalen Turner, and it is the 3rd time maybe that I've read it, and I loved it again. I love this series, and so if you get a chance to pick up the Queen's Thief series, it's a good one. I actually asked for it for my birthday and got it from my sissy. It starts with the book The Thief, and it is the first time I read it was kind of annoying until I got to the end, and then the twist at the end made it all worth it. And now I've fallen in love with this whole series. And this one I'm reading for Teen Reads for Grown-Ups, which meets tomorrow. So, highly recommend this series. And then I read Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. And I've read some books by Adrienne Young before, and I didn't like this one as much. It was adult fiction, so it moved a little slower. The underlying magic leaned more Wiccan, so that was not a plus for me. I thought it was interesting about a young woman who's lived on this small island and is the one that stayed behind, and the boy she was in love with was the one that got to leave after kind of a tragedy. And I felt like them finding each other again and working through kind of their history was an interesting story. I liked them. Kind of what ended up being the story at the end, I didn't feel like was earned enough throughout the book. So, I don't know, 3.5 stars. It was alright, but it wasn't great. So, that was my opinion on Spells for Forgetting.
Friday was an in-service day, and sadly the best part was the IHOP catered breakfast. Today's video is going to include a project of me working on my hot water heater. This is an instructional video because I know I'm not going to record all the steps, and so please don't follow these instructions. I did find a video on YouTube that I'm more or less following. So I'll link that above. If you want an instructional video, that one's there for you. This is just a vlog that is saying what happened. So please don't follow my lead. So what I'm doing is I'm replacing the gas control valve. Unfortunately, I had to buy 2 gas control valves. The first one had some components to it that didn't seem to be compatible with my hot water system, but it did have the better instructions. The second one that I actually ended up buying, that's the one that I'm going to install, didn't come with any instructions. So hopefully I'll do a little bit better because I had to buy 2 of the valves, and Amazon thankfully was able to refund me my money on the first one, but at least the first one had some good instructions about steps to take. So the first thing that I'm doing is I am draining the the tank of hot water so that I'm dealing with a cold water system through the entire process. And that came from those instructions, and that seemed really intelligent. So I am taking off with that. I will show a couple of really important steps. One is to make sure that you shut off your gas line before you do all of this, and also make sure that your hot water heater is turned to off. And somewhere near your hot water heater you should have a water control valve, and we want to make sure that that guy's off. Then we want to connect a standard garden hose to the drain on the hot water heater. And the other end of that drain pipe should connect to either a drain on the same level of the house, or if your hot water heater's on ground level, you can run the hose out the door. And because of how suction works, we want to make sure that we have hot water somewhere in the house that's turned on. The way that they described it in that video that I talked about is, otherwise it's like having a thumb over your straw and nothing's going to come out of the hot water heater. Then once the system is drained, we actually close the valve and turn off the hot water upstairs and turn the water back on and kind of blast the bottom of the tank with some cold water to knock some of the shrapnel off of the bottom of the tank. This apparently is something I should have been doing about once a year, but I haven't. So this marks some of the sludge that we've got just sitting in the bottom of the hot water heater. Hopefully doing this process will give us a better result. So not great vlog material, I realize, but as I started to work on the control valve, I was like, you know, I don't think I want to do this. So I have a plumber that's coming in on Monday to actually finish it up. I'm glad that I figured out how to flush my system. That's nice to be aware of. That's an easier process than I probably would have considered before. As soon as I started cranking around with the gas and stuff like that, I was like, I just don't feel comfortable. So we'll deal with that on Monday. Saturday evening, I went to the SpongeBob musical at DC, and as I'm not a SpongeBob fan, it was much better than I was expecting.